All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. With the All Star break right around the corner in the NBA, we have a pretty good idea right now who the pretenders and contenders are in each conference, especially in the Western Conference, where the Phoenix Suns and Golden State Warriors are right now a cut above the rest of the pack. Now, after winning the rest of the Western Conference last season, the Suns have picked up right where they left off from, as their team ball philosophy under head coach Monty Williams is really ruling the roost. The importance of Chris Paul, and I mean, you cannot underscore what CP3 has meant to joining the Suns. I mean, you look at it, Chris Paul is one of the best point guards ever. And aside from that, he is the true embodiment of the word point guard because he's a floor general. He makes the players around him better. And, in this era of quote unquote positionless basketball, the true point guard is a dying breed, but we saw that last year in the NBA Finals where both the Milwaukee Bucks and Phoenix Suns had themselves a true point guard. Of course, Drew Holiday for the Bucks. But nonetheless, Chris Paul is the embodiment of that. He makes the people around him better, and I think he's a perfect fit for this team. You look at Devin Booker, one of the better scorers in the NBA, and Book, when he's on, there's not too many people defensively that are going to stop him. DeAndre Ayton, this guy, he takes up a lot of size. He has a lot of size, but he takes up a lot of space in the paint, when he's down there. And nonetheless, I know that there were some contract issues with the Suns. He's going to be a restricted free agent this summer, but I mean, this guy's back from injury now. I think he's going to ball out in the second half of the season. And then, of course, more size with the likes of JaVale McGee. You have a solid perimeter defender in Jay Crowder, good role player for this team. So this is a reason why the Suns are once again at the top of the Western Conference standings, currently with a record of 42-10. Now, in regards to the Golden State Warriors, the return of them after their 2-year hiatus from the postseason, of course, you go back to 2019, we saw the injuries really get the best of the Warriors as they lost in the NBA Finals. Of course, Kevin Durant left. They still haven't. They had some time without um, Clay Thompson, and then of course both Steph Curry and Draymond Green had their injuries at the same time as well. Of course, Steph and Draymond were there. The Warriors were in the play-in tournament last year, and they fell short. But nonetheless, things are really coming together this time around for the Golden State Warriors. They're currently 40-13. They've won their last 8 games, and they're doing this without some key pieces. Draymond Green is still out, and the Warriors are expecting him back at some point for their second half run. James Wiseman, the phenomenal big man, the young big man, he is beginning to practice with the team, and that's going to be important because he gives them like another he brings another aspect to this team. But you look at the guys that are there. Steph Curry continues to be one of the better scorers of this era of NBA basketball. Of course, arguably the most prolific 3-point shooter ever. Then, of course, I've loved the addition of Andrew Wiggins because I've said this before and I'll say it again. The Warriors, to me, are the perfect team for Andrew Wiggins because he can go out there and score 20 points and just simply fly under the radar. You have a veteran defender like Andre Iguodala who's back. The return of Klay Thompson, you can't underscore that. I mean, of course, Golden State is going to approach this with kid gloves after Klay missed time with the torn ACL and then the ruptured Achilles tendon. But then gotta like how guys like Jordan Poole are fitting into this team. And the same can be said about Otto Porter Jr. Once upon a time, Otto Porter Jr. was a lottery pick. A lot was expected of him, but I think this is a perfect scenario. And we see a lot of lottery picks that are on this current Warriors team. And it's a situation where, everybody is fitting into their role. And that is so important. But overall, you look at the Suns, obviously they're the best team in the West. The Warriors are 2.5 games behind them. They've separated themselves a little bit from the Memphis Grizzlies, who are in third place, and they're 6.5 back of the Suns, 4 games back of the Warriors. But after that, it's all double digits. The Jazz are in fourth place and they're 10.5 games back. And then we go right down the list. And, it's a logjam. Basically, between 4 and 7. And you look at it and you have to say these teams are more than likely going to finish 1 and 2 in the Western Conference this year, barring something unforeseen. It's just going to be a matter of, the Suns and Warriors looking to see maybe if they could pick somebody up from the trade deadline. And if you're the Warriors, you just want to get guys healthy. That's going to be the equivalent of you doing something at the trade deadline. So these two teams are probably going to be 1 and 2. Just it's going to be a matter of what order they finish in. But of the rest of the contenders in the West, who must these respective teams look out for? I mean, you look at Memphis, and I mean, Ja Morant is really coming into his own this year. And is he alone, or is he going to get enough help to really help Memphis make a deep playoff run? We'll have to wait and see. The Jazz, the injuries are probably going to hurt the Jazz the most. I mean, that Joe Ingles injury, you cannot underscore the importance of that to this Utah team. So let's see what the Jazz can do prior to the trade deadline. You look at Dallas right now in fifth. You have a phenomenal player in Luka Doncic, but I think that the Mavericks are still feeling it out and trying to get their sea legs with head coach Jason Kidd. Then you have the Denver Nuggets, and I think the Denver Nuggets are another one of those teams where the injury bug has really hurt them. I mean, Nikola Jokic is having another MVP caliber season, but not having Michael Porter Jr., still not having Jamal Murray is really going to help hurt their chances. And of course, with no Jamal Murray, we saw the Nuggets get swept by these Phoenix Suns in the Western Conference semis last year. The Minnesota Timberwolves are an intriguing team. They're improving, but I'm not sure if they're ready to make a run. They're in the seventh spot. And then, of course, the rest of the teams that are currently in those slots for the play-in tournament, you have the Clippers, the Lakers, and the Pelicans. And, of course, for the Clips, it's going to be tough. They probably won't have Kawhi Leonard this year at all. Maybe they get Paul George back, but credit the head coach Ty Lue to have this team at 500. It's a great story, but you can't really expect anything out of the Clippers at this point in the postseason. The Lakers, the injuries, the inconsistencies with the Lakers. We know on paper that the talent is there, but I think first and foremost, LA has to get healthy, and let's see what they can do from there on out. So, like, I'm still the jury is still out on the Lakers for what we can expect them to do. I mean, this was a team that a lot of us expected to be the top team and win the West and go on to the NBA championship this season, and obviously that has not been the case so far. But nonetheless, getting back to both the Suns and Warriors respectively, and it comes down to their coaches. Steve Kerr for Golden State, he's been there and done that. He's seen so much. He's a basketball lifer. You think back to his collegiate career at the University of Arizona under Lute Olson. Then, of course, being a part of 3 championships with the Chicago Bulls and 2 more with the San Antonio Spurs as a player, going to the bench as an assistant under Greg Popovich, being the GM of the Phoenix Suns at one point in time, and what he's done with the Golden State Warriors during his tenure there. And then, of course, Monty Williams. We saw what Monty could do as a coach in New Orleans. He's gotten another shot, and this guy is showing that he's the real deal here in Phoenix. So the question is, will we see the Suns and Warriors meet each other in the Western Conference Finals? We'll have to wait and see because obviously there's still a lot that has to be mapped out for the remaining part of the regular season. On top of that, let's see what happens between now and the trade deadline. I think that's going to be huge. And of course, the trade deadline in the NBA is in a few days on February 10th. So let's see how the contenders are going to line themselves up to make this playoff push. But with that said, I think that the Suns and Warriors have really, begun to separate themselves from the rest of the pack in the Western Conference. And I think that's going to be the case for the remainder of the season. I think Memphis is going to stay hot. At some point, will it all click for the Lakers? I think they're going to be the enigma and the X factor in this race. Of course, the Suns are not afraid of the Lakers because they took care of business against them in the playoffs last year, and they also beat the Warriors in part of that playing tournament. But that's last year. This is this year. Obviously, two different things. But with the topic at hand, The Suns and Warriors both have done a good job in solidifying themselves and putting themselves in this position. I really want to see the Warriors get Draymond and James Wiseman back and just get everybody clicking and let's see what they can do. And then Phoenix is going to once again be a tough out. So, not to sound too repetitive, but these teams have gotten off to a good start. Let's see how they finish and keep that momentum going into the playoffs. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take the time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you are on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. You can check it out, drop a line, and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I'm signing off, saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.